All right, so, well, I guess the first order is probably right to, actually, I'm apologize. I haven't really looked at the agenda when our meeting with the Sennies got canceled. So are we need to appoint somebody to the CPC, right? Or did you guys do that before we called this to order?
You need to replace me?
Yeah, did someone volunteer for that?
Well, I did, but then I
Someone-
kind of got told I wasn't going to.
All right, that's not true. That is not true.
Sounds like I missed some
Come on,
fun.
Janet.
Janet,
All
if
right,
you can
so-
do it, I think it'll be fine. Or frankly, and any of the three of you who can do it. Julie, I wouldn't sort of force it on you immediately, having just started, but
I know I won't have time. Just trying to get up to speed with FinCom and the budgets and everything.
yeah, one committee at a time is probably a good rule. And start one committee at a time.
Yeah.
You have to serve on many.
So Mike, I'd do it, Mike, but Thursday nights are not good for me. So I'm off that list.
All right, I'll volunteer again.
Well, what was the issue?
You don't want to.
Okay, being that there was no issue, thank you, Janet, for volunteering.
Thank you, Janet.
So
I
Stan,
will send you the
Thank you,
email with the next meeting, which I can't remember exactly when it's going. I'll tell you in a second.
I'm looking now.
I can look at my calendar.
December 3rd.
You are absolutely correct. It's 7 o'clock. And if you like, I will continue to come to that one, and then we'll do the transition, the handoff right there.
Sounds like a plan.
Do you know Anna?
Pardon?
Do you know Anna Crane?
Anna? No. Did you say Anna? A-N-N-A?
I think it's ANNA, isn't it?
Anna, yeah, Anna Crane.
Yeah, no.
She's the chair.
She's the chair. She's a vet. That is, as in veterinarian, not veteran. Well, she may be a veteran also, but. So in case your horses need something.
All right, so do we need a vote on that? Or a motion, or do we just?
Ginsburg, aye. I don't know that we need a motion. Does this require a vote, or do we just
I
appoint
think
some?
because it's cited in the bylaw, it's probably a good idea to designate your member formally.
I move that FinCom designate Janet Lamy as our liaison to the Financial Planning Committee.
Capital Plan Committee.
Sorry, Capital Planning.
Julie, would you like to second that?
I second that.
Is there any further discussion? Or Janet, are you willing to serve clearly?
Yep.
Well, that's all, that's all the information I need.
Call for a vote.
Rogalinsky, I'll call the vote then. Rogalinsky, aye.
Porter, I.
Ginsburg,
I like
aye.
I.
Do I have to vote myself in?
It's up
Sure.
to you.
Yeah.
Maybe I.
It was unanimous.
It was anonymous. All right, well, our agenda is new business, so does that qualify?
Again.
All right.
Meaning that the other thing was the meeting with the Sennies and since
Correct, yeah,
that's been postponed.
right. So Michael, what is your,
Margaret, there was something that we were supposed to bring to FinCom from capital planning, but I don't remember what it was.
Yes, that is actually, it's a discussion on the FY22 certified free cash, I'm sorry, the FY21 certified free cash and the previously deferred capital budget items.
So if you recall that we did not, there were three things, was like paving the basketball court. There were three of them.
There were three. There was hot top, there was hot top for highway,
Hot
there
top
was
trees, tree topping.
contracted removal of at-risk trees, and there was the funding for capital stabilization,
Ah, yeah.
other than the $100 that was put in the spring. So the question, I think, was, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the question is, based on the FinCom's approved free cash guidelines, free cash, the certified free cash can be reduced by, hold on, let me see what the wording is here. I've got it here somewhere. Hold on. It says,
Is it basically, we have we have three choices, we don't do any of them? We take them off the top of free cash before we.
that
think
you
about
could do if you wanted to fund them this year. So you could
How-
address
how
those
to allocate
prior
it.
to allocating the rest of the free cash.
Or we could put them as part of the allocation.
Or you
Those
could
are, I
keep
think,
them as part of
Those
the
those are the
allocation.
three choices.
How much money are we talking?
80,000 for hot top, 60,000 for trees,
200,
120,000.
240, I'm sorry, what is it? 244,900? It's,
So Margaret, was it 80,000 for hot top, 60,000?
it was 80 for
trees?
hot top, 60 for
Trees.
contract tree removal, and
about 120.
124,900 for capital stabilization.
It's because we already
Air-
put
Air handlers
100 in.
taken off?
The air handler hasn't been approved yet by CPC, but that could be
Gotcha.
another potential one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one that they would like to do in this fiscal year, as I recall.
Yes, in order to get the procurement going, so the installation isn't happening in the summer, late
What are
summer.
they asking for?
This is a broken air handler, so it's no longer functioning. It's one of the two air handlers on the town offices. It's no longer operating. And it's been
How you
repaired.
want them to be in the town offices this summer.
We're
That's,
operating on one air handler now, so we're operating on one of the two.
Gee, that sounds like a COVID concern.
Well, I
Oh
mean,
my
does that
God.
mean that zones aren't
You
heated or
mean as
cold, or
opposed
does
to
that mean that
Legionnaire's
they're only
disease?
poorly?
No, I think it only means, it's only cooling, first of all. It's only air conditioning. So it really, I think
Okay.
anyway, I think it's only the air conditioning. So
That's
it's
what
not
I'm
the air
expecting.
circulation.
Thank you.
I think.
I was going to ask the same thing, Mary. I didn't know what an air handler was. But if it does have anything to do with air circulation, it definitely falls into the CARES Act.
We would not be able to do a permanent building fixture under the CARES Act. We would not be able to do a permanent building construction project.
Yeah, my reason for saying that, Margaret, was really, and Stan, was about for capital planning purposes, because it's on the list.
Yeah.
And it was taken off because of our overall financial considerations. But if you look at the certified free cash that came in,
Yeah.
We've got a lot.
there's a pot of money there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it's like 1.7 million, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the mechanism for just, when you said we could, one of the first option was just taking it off the top of free cash? I mean, what?
Yeah, so your free cash guidelines actually state available certified free cash may be first reduced by amounts required to cover snow and ice deficits and or other required appropriations prior to allocating free cash into the recommended categories. So you could actually
But is
take
that-
off
Yeah.
before you do the
Is that just a
allocation.
vote by us or us and the selectmen? I mean, what?
That would be
Select
your
board?
recommendation. That's under your purview. I think that you could make a recommendation to that.
But a
We can't
recommendation
write
to
the
who?
checks, but we have to make the recommendation.
To who?
Well, I think you'd have to make a recommendation to the board, but I also think you're responsible for making recommendations to town meeting on financial articles. So I think that really this is in your wheelhouse.
Well, right. So the action for this would have to be at a town meeting. This isn't just
That's
us
correct.
voting
That's
money.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We just recommend it.
We're just deciding
Okay.
where we're gonna take the money from to do it, correct?
But it's a.
Yeah,
what
but
it
if,
really is
Stan, if
are we
you're
gonna
referring
take
to
it-
taking the money, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I think we were going to say the same thing. The question right now is, do we allocate money to this now and then think about the allocation of free cash to the various categories? Or do we keep this and then and one of the categories for allocation of free cash would cover this? But obviously,
Yeah.
this would take most of that category.
Whether you decide to take it off of certified free cash before you allocate the remainder, that's your decision. That does not have to be voted by town meeting. You're really recommending to town
Right.
meeting and to the board funding from free cash, period.
Okay, I guess I was just thinking that the discussion on this is I don't know, I mean, it's not premature, but it seems like this is like as we're getting into the budget when we're not really into the budget
Yep.
yet. So I guess I was,
But Stan, most of these things were, first of all, 3 of them were items that we had decided to do last year
Yeah.
and recommended last year and then pulled back when we cut back because of concerns about what cash would be available. The other one's an emergency repair.
right. Oh, so we didn't do any hot top last year.
No, we
did not
pulled
put
that
money away.
back and we pulled the trees back. And we
Right.
did fund we funded $100 to the capital stabilization fund.
Yes,
June
June.
June is waving.
I don't remember, but when we were talking about a special article, I don't know if this was brought up, a special town meeting. I don't know if these were the items that were going to be going.
I thought
They
they
were.
were, yeah,
They were,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But to be,
Margaret sent us a note on November 13th that spells all this out.
yes.
It's in the
And-
email. Yeah.
And I should say the capital planning committee is still discussing this capital budget grid that I sent to you on November 13th. So you do not have, it's true, you don't have to act on this. So, this is very preliminary. I think capital planning committee needs to decide whether or not they want to continue to bring these previously recommended items forward to town meetings. So once we hear more on that, then you'll be able to.
Oh,
You'll be able
I
to-
didn't think there was any question about that.
You didn't think so? Okay.
No, I thought
I
that we
wasn't
were,
sure.
I thought that we were pretty clear that those were the sort of the top priority items because they were the ones we funded last year, which needed to be
Okay.
funded.
Okay.
So then, I guess I had a question for June would be, what's the best mechanism since we do have such a large pile of money in free cash? If we aren't, let's say this first year, we're already not going to go by our allocations, let's just say. Just because there's such a large pool of money that by going to all of those out, by using the allocations, I'd be concerned that some of the dollars might be larger than what our initial thinking was for how we would handle free cash. So, but the other thing I'm questioning or concerned about is that we clearly want to have free cash available for the unforeseen types of, things that are going to happen this year due to COVID, especially, lost revenue. So what is the best mechanism for having that free cash available for that? I mean, is it just what would be to allocate it to where so that it's available, I guess is what I'm asking.
You're asking for this particular fiscal year, it just
Yeah.
stays. If we don't do anything with it, then we would lose it and it would just roll over. But I would assume that you would need to use it at a special town meeting if we were going to have it to either take care of like snow and salt or snow and ice.
Well, I mean, what do we
Um,
do if revenues come in $400,000 less than we budgeted for the year?
You should be putting that into general stabilization in order to stabilize the budget.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
That's
then,
where it should go.
Yes.
because then what you could do is take it out of stabilization to reduce the tax rate at a later time if needed.
Mhm.
And that would help offset it. Normally what would happen Not that it's ever happened before, but if we were to come into, say, a revenue deficit at the end of the close of the year,
Oh, don't,
then
Mhm.
what we would have to do is we would have to raise that on the recap sheet next year. So that's when your free cash, if it was put in stabilization or wherever, that we could use it to reduce the tax rate so it would offset those revenue deficits. So it's just a matter of not spending it all,
Yep.
or at least allocating it to the right spots once we get further into the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how does that impact on the 2.5? I mean, if you're
Per se, it
for the
really
next year,
doesn't.
if we have revenue,
It really doesn't.
okay, so when you say if we have a revenue shortfall this year and it ends up rolling into next year and we have to raise it, basically meaning through the taxes, correct?
The revenue deficit would be based on like our local receipts or state aid would be. As far as the
Right.
real estate goes, it doesn't.
and you could pull from general stabilization for that, and it would
Yeah.
not have an impact on the tax rate. That would be so that would be the stabilizing piece of this in order to get through
Right,
if there was some sort of revenue. Sure.
okay.
Okay.
I actually had just one
So
question
should
for
we
you.
have an overall discussion on what we want? Oh, sorry, Scott, go ahead.
If you put in stabilization, doesn't it require a 2/3 vote to get
It
out
does.
though?
Yep.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
so that's a disadvantage of putting it there then, as opposed to keeping it in free cash, then it's just a simple majority.
Well, free cash, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Free cash is not available after June 30th. If we find ourselves in a serious situation, say, in August of the beginning of FY '22, we're not going to have free cash to pull from. And that's where the general stabilization really comes in. It's very important when we're during that period between the times that free cash is actually certified. So it won't be certified again next year till what? It'll be October, November again next year.
I
Right,
would really
right.
like to hope earlier, but yeah. So that would just,
that's where,
if you put it into stabilization, it would be a holding fund that you would have access to before the next batch of free cash would be certified. So it depends on your timing of,
But with a 2/3 vote, that's Scott.
with a 2/3 vote.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay,
If the choice is take it out of stabilization or raise the tax rate, I have a feeling I know which way the vote will go.
But that's that point well taken though, Scott, because, it does require a 2/3 vote. And so we're subject to that.
all right.
So
So spending the money for, say, the tree removal or any of that, how do we, I know, Margaret, you had sent me an email at one point about, it seemed like it was a bit out of the blue to me a little bit, where it just said all of a sudden it was this talk about trees. And I don't know if it was kind of a preamble to that meeting of the CPC or if it was,
It was.
but I got an email from you about trees and I thought maybe you were like trying to tickle the expenditure on that or try to move, kind of
No,
bring
it
that to
was
the forefront.
actually, what it did was it reiterated the projects that we just talked about. So it says, I actually have the email here. Prior to COVID, the Capital Planning Committee had voted to recommend presenting 3 additional capital related requests to town meeting. They were subsequently deferred to a future town meeting in order to contain costs at the start of the COVID crisis. And those were contract tree removal, hot top, and capital stabilization funding. So that's where I
Yeah, no, there was some before this, like a month ago, about tree removal.
I don't know.
It was like a thing.
Capital Planning Committee considered that an important project. I don't know if that was a reference to the Capital Planning Committee's.
It was on 10/26. This is RE dead trees are a hazard. And from Ms. Livingstone, thank you for, please know that we are actively seeking to request and
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you were just making me aware of it in case, so we wanted to act on it during the special, which we're not having at this point, so.
Yeah, I think at that time.
So
we were still having-
how would we fund trees at this point?
It's The only tree funding that we have is essentially roughly $10,000 that's in the highway budget.
Right, okay, so we would not be able to do this 60,000 until we had a town meeting, until we had a special to authorize it.
Right.
So
Got it.
so
Okay.
recognize that the 60,000 is to remove, I think, 300 trees, Margaret?
It was roughly 300 trees, yeah.
Of the 800 to 900 that have been marked as needing removal.
Mhm.
Wow.
So I think it's a very important thing to do, since I live near several of them that could fall down at any moment, including one which did fall down next to my driveway.
Yeah.
But I don't live next to it anymore because it's gone. But nature took its course.
Mm.
Fortunately, it fell to the north rather than to the south, thereby avoiding the telephone pole.
So Michael, what is your time frame again now? So is this your last meeting, or you?
I will look, I will stay as long as you want me to, but as of December 28th, I'm gone.
Right.
And I don't think I legally could attend even as an observer after that.
Is that true though?
No, you could be an attendee. You could,
Okay. But I can't participate
can't-
anymore.
He can't be a member if he doesn't live in town?
Right.
Okay.
So it
Well,
really is
not a-
important that somebody replace me. And you know, Margaret, I started to ask Mary before she got off.
Mhm.
What do we do to stir Barry? And whether, do I need to resign so that he
Yeah.
gets, but Mary's suggestion was figure out who you'd like to have join the committee because.
well, what we need to do, so the town's policy is the board's protocol is actually to post notice of the vacancies for at least 10 days on our, we need to get the word out there. But yes, Michael, you do have to submit a written resignation. It needs to go to the town clerk and to the moderator.
So the town clerk is selectman at, but who's?
No, town clerk is
that's
town
what-
clerk,
that's
at,
yeah.
town clerk.
Eloise needs to get it, and your appointing authority, Barry, needs to get it.
Is he selectman at?
No,
I'm
Moderator.
sorry, moderator at?
no, he's Barry.
No?
He's Barry.
Oh, that's Eloise.
He's Barry's Barry. Barry Yeager. I can
He's
give you
in-
his
He's in
email.
very world. Yeah.
So let me know, when do you want me to resign as of?
Very last date that you can stay.
2025,
You
2026.
stay right up to the end.
Okay. Christmas Eve.
I just to let you know, I've talked to Barry. I've volunteered if he should appoint me.
Oh,
but,
good.
I don't know if I'll just wait. For those that don't know me, I was on finance committee for 7 years and was the chair for 4. So
What years were those, Scott?
2006 to 2012.
On the finance
Okay.
committee.
Yes,
Ah, okay.
I was there with Scott
Know the
Hawkins.
drill.
Yeah, I know the
Right.
drill.
When
Not
do
even
you
sure
wanna
what
take
year I
over?
joined. I don't think it. I think
Well,
it was
it would be Barry's choice, so I've let him know.
Well, the
But-
finance
Are-
committee
are
knows
you
how to
ready
get
do this
people.
right away, because I don't have to stay on until the 25th of December. I can tell Barry like the end of November or tomorrow.
Well, for
Don't
me,
be in
I would
such
be
a rush, get the
available. I
bug
would be
rush,
available
huh?
as soon as whenever you would like.
Okay,
Again, like I know it's Barry's choice.
all right. I will send him an email tomorrow, well, tonight.
At the same time, you want to be sure that you don't have too long a vacancy. So the finance committee actually knows the process to appoint their own members if 60 days lapses. So we'll be sure to start that countdown.
Right.
But you got to get rid of me so you have a vacancy. So do you want me to
Catch
resign as of
22.
tomorrow or as of like the end of November or what? June, don't shake your head. Shake it this way.
I don't know, but you better be careful, Mike. We'll deal with you like we dealt with the Sennies. Yeah, we'll make you disappear. Or no, cancel you. We'll cancel you. Isn't that what
Cancel
we
your
did?
membership.
Yeah, we'll
Done.
cancel you.
All right. I'm gonna tell them end of the month.
I mean, if Scott is interested, it'd be kind of nice just to get him back into the swing of things
I think
for
so.
at least a month, so
All right.
he
December
can come in
15th.
and visit and
Yeah, that's why I'm attending, just to, and I'll do whatever is necessary.
great idea.
Wonderful.
But we have, irrespective of Mike's resignation date, we've got 4 voting members, which I think is enough to do business. So we'll walk through the process. Either it'll happen fast or it'll happen the slow way, and we know how to do it. So,
Meanwhile, Scott, if you
Well, I
want
can,
to
I can reach out, I can reach out to Barry and just
yeah,
give him a little reminder that, I mean, Michael, I think, I mean, as far as when you should resign, I think it's almost, I'm not sure really, that maybe say the end of November. I mean, I don't really know what makes the most sense, but I will reach out to Barry and
Okay.
just remind it's coming, or maybe that's a little more informal than formal.
Yeah. I don't know that he knows. I know Eloise knows that I'm leaving, but
I think he
Been a
knows.
pleasure working with
I
you all.
think I mentioned it to him when I mentioned to him that Julie wanted to be on.
okay. All right.
But if you'd like to give me your email, I can send you some of the documents that FinCom has in their hand, so you can review them.
Okay, yeah, it's real simple. Like my name right there, Scott with an underscore.
Oh, you don't have
Schultz.
to give it. You don't have to give it to me.
Oh,
Here, just
just send it to
shoot
him.
me an email. Shoot me an email, townadmin@townofberlin.com,
okay.
and I can send it to you.
Otherwise, you might get emails from everybody.
That's right. We're being recorded.
From the
Learn that
thousands
from
who are viewing
Julie.
this,
All the
yes.
millions of us on this call.
Hey, you never know.
We might be trending. We got to be careful. Yeah.
I can see who's on the call.
Watch it later, though, remember.
All right. Well, do we have other items to discuss then? I guess is what I would ask at this point.
Do you want to designate?
Have we set
a
our
member?
December meeting?
Oh,
Yeah, yes, there's one on the calendar. It's the day before before FinCom, so it's December 2nd.
I was going to say, I think we moved it up, right? Is it the 2nd or the 9th? I thought we moved it to the 2nd.
I've got it listed on the 2nd.
Okay.
I didn't include that
Well, I
on your
guess-
budget meeting schedule. That's okay.
Yeah. So do we have, so Margaret, I guess the next thing is that we have to start asking folks to come speak to us about budgets, right? So we haven't, when do we want to start setting that up?
I sent, did I send you out the budget meeting schedule, the draft? Oh,
yes,
please tell
yes, you did.
Yes.
I've got it.
Okay, so I plugged in some things and thought you could look at that and let me know what you think about the schedule. Oh, if I had it up on my screen, I could.
I don't know if you sent it on the 13th, but your draft is dated the 13th, Margaret.
Okay. I did send it with that email, so that email
With
that went
the
out on it. Mhm.
With the free cash one or after that?
It's dated November 13th and it's called November 18th Finance Committee meeting. That's the subject. Got an attachment. Actually, I could probably pull it up and share the screen if I just have a minute to do that. Let's see.
I can share my screen, I think. I
Do you
it
have it up?
I have it up already. I've been
Okay.
looking at it.
Okay.
Let's see if I can figure out how to do this.
Down at the bottom, there's a little green arrow. It says share screen. Press that, and
Yeah, I
then
know, but I was, yep.
then you have to figure out which window you have to click on. Yep. Oh, you're sharing something now. There it is.
Good
Hey,
job.
Woohoo!
Excellent.
Ha
Viola. Okay. So do we have a need for a meeting before we start meeting with groups? What else would we, would we be needing to address before we start meeting with people?
I was looking at February 3rd and thinking that's a lot of people on that night.
Well, I left that for any boards and committees. I know that FinCom decides which ones they want to meet with, but I also left another date to hold for additional budget meetings. So
Oh,
you
I
could
see
spread.
that down on the
Yeah.
24th, yeah.
Stan, I can't really think of anything. The deadline to submit budget requests to June isn't until November 30th. June is reviewing them for correctness and completeness. And then it's after that I will be plugging them into the working budget spreadsheet. So I wouldn't have that for you by December 2nd.
Yeah, so I'm feeling like we should just cancel that meeting.
Did I
December
just put
2nd,
up the share?
Yes.
Sorry.
But also having said that, though, should we try to meet Margaret, would you have by the night? I mean, we should at least be looking at the assessor, accountant, police. I mean, we should be looking at these before the 16th, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we just move it from the 2nd to the 9th.
Yeah, you could do that.
Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, I'm not formally presenting the working budget spreadsheet. So the order in which this is supposed to happen, and we're still trying to work out these kinks, but I'm supposed to bring a proposed budget to the board and then bring a working budget spreadsheet to FinCom. But I really think the 9th would be fine. It'll be very preliminary. I'm not going to be presenting it to the board until the 14th. So it'll be a little
Okay.
backwards, but that's fine. I think it'll be fine.
Well, I guess it's mostly just that I'd like to see what the assessors, accountant, police, I mean, what they're
requesting. Yeah.
I mean, just, right, even if it's not necessarily plugged into the spread, I mean, I guess that's the way we're doing it now, right, is just plugging it in the spreadsheet, which is great. So I mean, I guess the other option would be is that we have TBD on the 23rd and the 30th. We just push that 16th to the 23rd, or, I mean, have those folks been?
What? Now that we're doing Zoom meetings, and we can share Google folders, which is nothing like we were doing last year at this time.
Right.
You could have access to those submitted budget requests right in a Google Drive and refer to them while you're meeting with, with departments, boards, and committees. So you could have all that in front of you prior to, you could have those requests in the drive before the 16th. And
I would rather, don't get me wrong, but I would rather meet the 2nd, the 9th, and the 16th, and the 23rd and have the 30th off. I'm just.
Well, that's fine. I just, do we even need to meet the 2nd though, Janet? I mean, what are we going to do on the 2nd?
Well, the thing will be in on the 30th, right?
For review by the accountant. So
Yeah,
I can't.
Oh, okay, I got you. Sorry.
Janet, nothing's going to be compiled. Margaret's date for that initial compilation for the select board is for the 14th. And what I'm hearing Stan say is that he would like maybe a preliminary overview before we actually talk to the departments and the committees and stuff, which kind of makes sense. But and I do think we'll have some people missing around the holidays, the 23rd and the 30th. So
yeah, I think we probably should leave those probably out. So I mean, if we have access to the Google Drive, and just hold the 16th meeting, and we'll just review before then or then.
What about the 9th, Stan? Do you think that's useful?
Mhm.
Well, again, what, to what end? I mean, I guess we could use the 9th to review. I mean, if it's on Google, but if it's on the drive by then.
I could show you around the Google Drive folder and show you the budget requests. So you could be looking around in that folder by then and getting familiar with the requests. And I may have the start of the budget, the working budget spreadsheet going. So I could show you that on the 9th too.
I'm assuming we're kind of going to be going like we did last year, like the bare necessities, right? Because we really don't know what income we're going to have. And
Yep, Janet, that's the direction letter that Stan signed that went out to the
yeah, no, I read it.
departments, yeah.
I read it. I saw it. All right.
I mean, there's still going to be, I'm sure that there's still going to be special requests, but I have a feeling that this will be somewhat streamlined in the sense that they're not really going to be able to ask for much.
They're not supposed to, not to start anyway. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, and Margaret, your November 13 email, you said fiscal 21 contingent line required wage adjustments. There was what, the Council on Aging Director and Veterans Agent, but
Yeah, those are the two positions we know of at this time. It's not you don't have to make those adjustments now, but at one of your meetings in December, we will be coming forward with requests to make those adjustments to meet appropriation for both of those positions. Additionally, the Personnel Committee is reviewing market rate adjustments for positions that fall significantly more than 10% below average of Comptown. So those will also come to you. But there was a portion of the contingency line specifically for these things.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll come back with those. I just wanted to give you a heads up on those.
Thank you.
And Stan, back to December 9th, it's totally fine. You'll have things in the folder to look at by December 9th.
Yes, Jim?
Is it going to be okay with you guys if it's all in the Google Drives, or are you going to want hard copies of anything?
Google Drive.
Drive.
Google Drive is fine.
Yep.
You just have to teach this old dog how to
Google?
access it. That's all.
I'll be
I know,
sending,
but I
once I set it up, I'll be sending all the Finance Committee members a share link, so you'll be able to get
that's
in.
fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've used Google Drive before, but just not a ton.
Well, we've learned a lot about these newfangled things in the past few months.
Well, newfangled to some, but
I still
other
don't like
people have been
Google.
living with them.
Yeah, I don't like Google.
Can I ask a question? Are we done with this? Because this is totally unrelated. It came to my mind.
Well, yeah, so just to close out, I'd like to say, so I know, but 1 second, Jen. So I would like to let's set the December 9th let's cancel the 2nd and make the 9th our next meeting.
Okay.
And who's putting that on the town calendar? How are we doing going forward? This committee, what are we going to do?
Who'd like
I'm
to do
taking
one
note.
more? Julie, did you volunteer?
I volunteered,
Yes.
well, or I was volunteered. I don't know how either way.
Call that voluntold?
I don't know how to, I didn't get trained yet on how to do stuff through the town. I am taking notes tonight, so I can write up minutes, but as far as posting
Okay.
and setting me,
So do
I
you
don't
have
know how-
access to My Town Government?
I don't think she has access yet.
Oh, I think
Okay.
Eloise has to set that up for
All
her.
right. Why don't I set up this one? I will just move whatever agenda is listed for the 2nd to the 9th. Oh, we have to ask for, I don't know whether we have the Zoom for that night.
I will book Zooms for every one of these dates. So
Okay.
you'll have recurring meetings.
And let me know what it is so I can put it in.
Mhm. I'll do that.
So as it stands now, we're meeting the 9th and the 16th, but we're tentatively not meeting the 23rd and the 30th. Is that how I understood that?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Should I leave us on the 23rd and the 30th just in case, so I don't make plans?
Well, I mean, I think we'd
Well, it's the
probably
night
know,
before, the night before Christmas, and you're not gonna wanna do it.
well, we might know better by the 16th, but I don't know that we'll know much before then, whether we would need to. I mean, it seems like the only reason to me, it seems like we would have the 23rd would be is if we're pushing maybe one or two of those groups from the 16th to the 23rd for whatever reason. But
They're not gonna wanna show up then either.
that is true.
I don't know. It depends how much they want funding. They might really want to be in. They might really want to spend some time with us.
So you're saying we should do this
Right?
New Year's Eve? To see who really wants to be funded.
Yeah.
Well, that could be interesting.
Margaret,
New Year's Eve's the 31st, not the 30th.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but yeah, if you pick the,
It's a way to
Margaret?
get a short meeting, right?
yeah.
Right.
All right, so I'll
was I
book Zoom
supposed to say
meetings.
something about what transpired at the capital planning committee, just that we had a bunch of requests? You wanna know that, Stan?
Sure.
We had a bunch of requests.
I hope you told them a bunch of no's.
Well, so we heard only from highways and public safety, I guess.
All three of the big three department heads will be at the meeting on December 3rd to talk about their requests.
Yeah, and they in total, they're asking for lots. The good news, the best news is that the police, the largest request from the police is something that Tom is finding funding for elsewhere. He said he put it on the calendar just to let us know that that's an expenditure that's going to happen. It's basically a new radio system, but he's got a grant for part of it, and I guess he got some sort of a payment from Riverbridge for part of it.
Donation.
Yeah, and he's looking for a grant for the rest of it. But it's a big item. It's the unfunded part so far was over 300,000.
Radio system
Wow.
upgrades.
It's
That's
completely
significant.
replacing the radio system.
June, about this whole police moving dispatch and everything from local to central, so to speak, for lack of better verbiage on that. What exactly was the savings the town made by moving our personal dispatch within our town hall to the place over at Devon's for centralized dispatching? I'm just curious how much.
I don't have that number. I would have to look it up and see.
Tonight. I'm just asking, and the reason I'm asking that is because I have had numerous people ask me that if I had that information from FinCom, and I'm like, well, I'm sure I do somewhere, but I wouldn't even know how to begin to look that up. So I think that's going to be a topic. I'm just giving people food for thought.
You know, and somebody, the guy who runs that central dispatch unit and talked about that, as did Tom and Ken at one of those coffee talks in the old
Yeah.
town hall last year.
Which was taped. That would be a good one to
I
watch.
don't know if they talked.
Yeah, I don't think they
about the
touched on that.
I don't
Yeah,
think they
they
talked about the cost saving. They just talked about what they felt the benefit of it
Yeah.
would be.
Mhm.
If I remember the meeting correctly, and
Yeah.
yes, you're correct, it was taped, and I believe I looked at that and I actually directed somebody to that coffee talk. I think it was taped.
I think it was too. That was actually when we were in person. Yeah.
I-
Roger was
think
there.
it
He
was
taped it.
I do think so, and I did direct people, but I think it only talked about why they thought we should go or why we did go. And I think we had already made the move. Did we not already make the move, Margaret, when they addressed it? I think
Oh,
we had
yeah.
already done it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was years before, it was before I arrived, when, I don't even know what year.
Yeah.
It was
I
20,
can look
during the
into it.
2017 fiscal year. So they
2017.
transferred in January of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, June, if you could pull those figures, because I told someone I would get them back to them.
See what I can come up with.
I think
And
part
they're
of it is,
basically wanting to know, did we really save the town a substantial amount of money? And their thought was, and if I hope maybe they're listening, they'll correct me, but thought was, in the savings, was it the benefit more beneficial than having the personal hometown feeling of the dispatch in the center at the building? Does that make sense to you?
That's, yeah,
Okay, sorry, I didn't know how to verbiage that.
that's an important point, because when, you know, with any kind of regional services, you also
Thank you,
have to
thank you.
look at, you have to look at the cost benefit, not just the
Yep.
cost savings. So, you know, did we have enough, you know, backup staffing to be able to operate? How much would that have cost for us to have 24/7 dispatch operations and backfill and all kinds of stuff versus,
Right.
yeah, so that's all important stuff to
Yeah,
consider.
and that was the question, you know, like, and like they said, well, if we saved $1,000, they didn't think it was worth it. That was the feeling they had. I'm just throwing that out there.
Mhm.
Was that your other topic, Janet, that you had said was?
Oh, my other topic was to ask about the Google Drive. And there had been, and it was the meeting I couldn't attend, about emails and about personal emails. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when I get 2,600 emails in my, I just can't keep up. And I have to Google Margaret, and thank God your last name is not Smith or Jones, because that's the name I put in to look for everything, because it comes up. You had said something about emails, and I wasn't really following that whole thing, because I'm thinking I need to get another email for town business, because I'm between work with COVID and some other things, my emails are getting like, you know, ridiculous.
So there is a way, I don't think we have this set up yet, but there is a way. What you'd need to do though, personally, is you would need to set up another private email address that would be dedicated to this. And what we could, you know, we could either continue to send things individually, or we could link everyone's own email addresses to whatever the FinCom's, fincom@townofberlin.com. We could link it there, and it would share to, you know, someone could send something to FinCom and you'd all see it. So either
She'll be
way,
getting that to her personal email right now. The only way to separate that would be for her to do a separate email
that's correct.
just for.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So set up a new Google. So we're
Set up a
not
new-
doing what you had suggested yet.
email or, yeah.
No, you know, and you know what, accomplishing what you're needing to accomplish is not going to be accomplished by putting everyone's private emails into FinCom. It's just going to it's going to serve to distribute.
All right. So
So-
I thought I understood that I had to make up a new domain for myself. So that's what I'll do.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be
thank
good.
you.
And
Sorry.
let us know so we can be sure that we're sending to the right.
Yep, no, I will.
I've made that mistake before with a lot of people. Don't know which address.
Thank you.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
The last request I have for tonight is there a member of FinCom who would like to sit on a working group first to negotiate a potential payment plan for the River Bridge Public Safety Mitigation payment, year one, and also to serve on the same working group to discuss possible amendments to the development agreement.
Yeah, I would volunteer for that.
Okay. All right. All right, that's good. We have to work on this.
Unless someone else has a burning desire. But that interests me, and I would definitely like to participate in that.
Okay. The one thing I have to say, Stan, is I'm pretty sure some of the sessions will be during the day, especially on the development agreement piece of it. The year one public safety mitigation payment, we may be able to do in short order, but the development agreement is going to take longer.
Okay.
Dan, do you want to tag team on that?
That would be great, Mary, if we could. And then what I was going to say is that there's a chance that depending on how long of a period of time we're talking about during the day, that I can take a break, go out to my car and participate in something like that. I mean, my day is generally busy from start to finish, but I have the ability to slot, it's not, I don't have a lot of time sensitive things that I have to say that I'm in this meeting at 10 o'clock, or I'm in this at 1 o'clock. I mean, it's just that I have a whole bunch of stuff that happens that if I'm there, they'll ask me, and if I'm not there, we'll have to ask somebody else. So, but I can take a break. And if there was something that was a meeting for a half an hour, I could probably do that, especially if it was, hopefully, I don't know, depending if it was around a lunchtime or if not, but I don't know.
I'd love to try to hammer out the public safety mitigation payment I'd love to do it in one meeting. I don't know if we can accomplish it. And so maybe I'll try to schedule that for an evening.
Okay.
And you're good at 7:30?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to come up with a couple of dates to see if we can set something up. And then development agreement, that will definitely happen after we settle on this whole payment plan thing.
Okay.
Do we need to go back and revisit this 80,000 hot top 60,000 and the broken air circulator, or was that just so we could talk about it? Because I don't think we ever really came up with any answers to that question that was proposed at the very beginning.
So my proposal is to have this go back to the Capital Planning Committee on December 3rd. They can ratify their votes on the prior recommendations, and they can also take action if they're ready to on the air handler. And then it can come back to FinCom to decide how to handle that with the certified free cash.
Did you get that, Mike?
Yes,
Does
you
that
and I will
sound-
be there on the 3rd, and neither of us will vote on it.
Does that sound like a plan, though?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
All righty. Are we ready to adjourn?
I'm good with it.
moved.
Yeah.
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.